Coming up, we'll talk night one of the Chili Bowl, look at Tuesday's field, plus we've got updates on why Christopher Bell isn't in Tulsa, and we've got an update on the visa situation for sprint car drivers down under. Let's go. It's Tuesday, January 10th. I'm Justin Fiedler. This is Dirt Tracker Daily. Night one at the Chili Bowl is complete, and we have our first two feature starters for Saturday night's big main event. Ken McIntosh picked up the feature victory on Monday with Shane Golobic in second. Those two are now in for sure. Chris Windom ran second to McIntosh for much of the feature last night, but he got nipped late by Golobic, and he'll settle for a Saturday B-main, along with Trey Marcham, Chase Briscoe, Gavin Boschel, Ryan Timms, and Kyle Spence. McIntosh was in control for most of the feature and somehow survived a right rear tire going flat in the closing laps. And that became evident during a caution with just a few laps to go. Neither Golobic or Windom could take advantage, though. Jerry Kunz Jr. had heartbreak late as well when the wheel nut on his right rear tire or right rear wheel backed off. He had to head to the work area and then got trapped there going green, giving up a top 5 running position. As for our guy Tanner Holmes, I was really impressed with his night last night. He started on the pole of his heat race and picked up the victory to put himself into a qualifier. He then went third to second in that qualifier to then have a top 10 starting spot in the feature. He had a flip in the feature. It did cause some pretty big damage to the car, but the Chad Boat guys did an amazing job to get a tie rod replaced and clear the Nerf bar and got him back out of the work area in time. He ended up racing back to 13th on the night. That will put him in a C-main come Saturday. Super cool, again, to see that Dirt Tracker logo going around on a race car inside the expo. I didn't feel like there were any big surprises last night. No big names got trapped in lower mains, and the feature lineup ended up kind of being about what you would have expected it to be. I said yesterday that I thought McIntosh and Golobic were probably the two to watch last night, and that definitely ended up being the case. The other racing we got to see last night was the Invitational Race of Champions, and we were treated to a damn good 25-lapper. Rico Abreu led early from the pole, but Spencer Basin was on the attack, and he was able to grab the lead around halfway. He didn't just drive away with it, though, as McIntosh was in the mix and was able to even get a slider in late on Basin. But driving in a third RMS entry, Basin made the crossover move and got away at the end for the victory. McIntosh settled for second with Rico in third. It was a nice little teaser for the rest of the week, I think, an opportunity for some of these guys to get a little bit of extra track time, and Basin definitely looked fast in that one. I was surprised with Justin Grant, who started second but finished ninth, and Buddy Kofoid was also a non-factor, ending up seventh in that one as well. In his post-race interview, Ken McIntosh was not happy with how Baston raced him over those last few laps, but I didn't really see anything super egregious between the two. They did make contact when Baston crossed him over after that slider from McIntosh, but it didn't feel dirty or anything. Didn't, feel like it was a nasty move. I think it was just a racing deal, the two kind of going for the same piece of real estate. And a side note for you, we talked last week about Nick Hoffman racing the Chili Bowl, and he ended up 16th last night after transferring through a B-main. He's already back in the Charlotte area, though, today, getting work done to have his late model prepped for testing and racing next week. He'll be back to Tulsa later in the week, though, to complete the event, but definitely in need of some of that NOS that you can see in the picture on the screen. Looking at today, we should, again, be low to mid-60s for car count once everybody is signed in. Hot laps again at 4 p.m. Central Time, racing at 5. Names tonight in the field include Spencer Basin, Michael Pickens, Dazen Persley, Chance Crum, Tim McCready, Zach Dahm, Alex Bowman, Kaylee Bryson, Damian Gardner, Buddy Kofoid, Jade Avedissian, and Jonathan Beeson. After what we saw last night, I definitely put Basin towards the top of the win picks, and obviously Kofoid as well. I still think he's the guy to beat this week. The other topic around the Chili Bowl that will continue to be a theme all week, whether it gets talked about on the broadcast or not, is the absence of Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell, obviously something we've talked about a ton on this show. Matt Weaver had an interesting piece yesterday at RacingAmerica.com about all of it, and he had quotes from Tanner Thorson, Keith Kunz, and Emmett Hahn. We've heard from Larson why he isn't there, but we did get a bit of clarity about Bell's situation. He hadn't said anything publicly, and he kind of got roped into some of the stuff about the purse money, even though he really hadn't said anything. But Keith Kunz alluded to Bell's NASCAR team and Joe Gibbs Racing not being thrilled with him running dirt races. Seabell was a title contender in the Cup Series in 2022, and clearly JGR is trying to protect their driver situation. Weaver even mentioned the DJ Vanderlei incident at Texas as reasoning for JGR clamping down on him. If you don't know, Vanderlei was severely injured in the micro race that Bell promoted last year at Texas, and Vanderlei is a member of the Stewart-Haas Racing engineering team. Bell had planned to compete in that event, but pulled out after DJ was hurt. I don't believe we've seen Bell on dirt since then. His last race completed actually was in a micro show at Millbridge last August. And I'm sure we'll see both Bell and Larson in Tulsa again in the future, but the purse will continue to be a talking point as well. Emmett Hahn said they added nearly $35,000 to the event this year, with it now being $1,500 to start, and some more cash is available down through the field. It is pretty jarring, though, that Larson is racing for $10,000 to win each night down at Vado, and that's before the $25,000 finale. And if you look at it, the micro race that Tanner Holmes won this last weekend in Kansas, he got $7,500 for winning that race. Or not micro race, the Outlaw Kart race. It does feel like it's probably time to boost things if it's possible. Teams will continue to show up and race for the driller regardless, though. If you aren't headed to the Chili Bowl today, you can again watch live over on Flow Racing. If you're a fan of what I'm doing here and you want to support this project and get some cool stuff in the process, head over to shop.dirttracker.com and grab yourself some Dirt Tracker merch. I've got hats, shirts, and decals for sale right now. And if you're in the US, I'll cover shipping and sales tax. Plus, if you do decide to order something today, I'll have it shipped out today. That's shop.dirttracker.com. Quick update about the visa situation for sprint car drivers heading down under. We talked yesterday on the show about this. Aaron Reitzel, Brad Sweet, Sheldon Hodenshield, all having problems getting approved to travel and race down under. And in the last kind of 24-ish hours here, Solar Motorsport, who Reitzel was supposed to race for, has announced they have canceled Reitzel's schedule. I'd heard there was hope that Reitzel's situation would get resolved, but it's clear that that won't happen now. At least in time, it won't happen at least in time for him to make the trip down there and have any sort of meaningful schedule. We'll have to stay tuned about what any sort of resolution will happen for Sheldon Hodenshield and Brad Sweet, but at this point, I'm not sure I'd hold my breath about them, being able to race down under. And from the information I've gotten, there doesn't seem to be a lot of hope. I don't have intimate knowledge of the details, but the problems for each of the drivers seem to stem from the type of visas the drivers are trying to get and whether or not they are actually tourists or coming over to make money. The Solar Motorsports release about Reitzel mentioned this issue specifically. It's definitely a shame for our sprint car friends down under that these guys maybe won't be able to compete, but this is something we'll keep an eye on here in the coming weeks. Last night was round number 7 of 10 for the iRacing World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series. Poor Chase Rodman. He's not at the Chili Bowl, but he was on the call last night for the racing at Cedar Lake. Timothy Smith entered the night with a 2-point lead over Alex Bergeron in the standings, with Tyler Schell 24 back in third. Those three drivers all started together on the first 2 rows, and it was Smith who held the advantage from the start. Bergeron did try to track him down late, even throwing a slider at him with 5 to go, but Smith was able to fend him off and secure the victory. It was Smith's first win of the season. Bergeron settled for second with Tanner Pettit third, Schell fourth, and Evan C. in fifth. Even with the win, though, Smith wasn't able to really pad the points lead a whole lot. With 3 rounds still to go, it's only 5 right now over Bergeron. The final 3 race run to the end include stops at Knoxville, Weedsport, and Charlotte. You can watch these races each of the next 3 Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern for free on Dirt Vision and on YouTube. And there are 3 shows on the streaming schedule today. Like I said, Flow Racing has night 2 of the Chili Bowl plus Flow 24/7. There is also Dirt Vision now. To see the full daily streaming schedule with links to watch, visit dirttracker.com/watch tonight. All right, that's it for the show today. Really appreciate everybody tuning in. Have a good Monday. We'll be right back here tomorrow for more Dirt Tracker Daily.